Hello, and welcome to Two Guys and a Few Good Men. I am TJ Washuk.
And I am Garrett Loberg.
And this is Movie Lowdown for the week of September 10th, 2018.
So let's get right into the news.
Alright, so first up in the news, we have some background, news story on the movie Baby Driver. If you guys remember that movie, it was a great movie, came out last year. This is pertaining to the Michael Myers mask that they pull out in the driver's seat. It was the Mike Myers mask from Austin Powers and not the Halloween mask Mike Myers, which they made a joke on. Apparently, one of the makeup effects artists, Greg Nicotero, had revealed that the scene originally was supposed to feature two characters wearing the Halloween mask and one wearing the Austin Powers mask, and that was the joke. But since Halloween was coming out as the reboot, they denied permission to use that, so they had to alter the scene. Now, also a little background on the Mike Myers mask. Originally, it was William Shatner Captain Kirk mask, and they just painted it white. It has since changed since then, but I thought that was a little interesting tidbit on that.
I knew something was up when Edgar Wright is a very hands-on, like everything in his movie is pretty much perfect, like down to like him saying that he witnessed himself like not robbing a bank, but like that was how he got the idea of the movie, was listening to Bell Bottoms, which is at the beginning of the movie. He's very detail oriented, and so for him to do a Mike Myers mask was really funny. But you also saw like there's obviously there was a reason he couldn't do like a regular Mike Myers mask, and I'm cool. It's cool that they explained this because normally you don't get this stuff. So like it would have been like, oh, it was just a joke the whole time, but now you realize it's actually pretty cool, like because they had to make the joke out of it because they weren't allowed to do that because the movie's coming out, and I didn't even know the movie was coming out. So now that they say that, it's actually ironic.
Yeah, and it probably was announced back last year, but it wasn't something that I was aware of.
Exactly. It was definitely something that was going on in the background, but wasn't talked about as much to where like people that like us that don't watch that franchise or we watch it, but we don't follow
closely watch it.
Yeah.
We're not like super fans.
Exactly.
But yeah, that was kind of an interesting little story on that. And then followed by that, we have some, somewhat interesting news. Another Crazy Rich Asian story. Crazy Rich Asian story is there is a holdup with the release in China, and released on this Friday in the UK and more than likely in Europe. But right now it's held off in China, and the team over there is not quite sure if it's going to be going to China or not. Garrett, you think that it's going to come into China soon? Because, it is an Asian movie. But what do you think?
I think that they're also dealing with getting over the Great Wall movie and how that backfired on them. And so I think they're kind of hesitant to bring in a movie like that where it's American made. But also, I know that they have a limited amount of movies they can bring into their country each year at a high price, I believe. And so they got to kind of pick and choose. And I think at this point, this movie was so quick on release that we saw like a trailer the week before.
Yeah, you were saying.
Or 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
And so they're probably sitting there. They have it for consideration, but I'm sure they have a ton of movies that they're going through right now for consideration to begin with. So it's a little bit harder to deal with. They're probably behind on those, and they have other movies that were submitted for display before them. So
yeah, plus it's also a Western romantic comedy, and apparently they don't do too well in China because it's a different type of culture. They act differently romantically, I would say, in the Chinese culture than American culture.
And that they're going to bring some aspects of that to the American culture, but they also have to appease to Americans, and that's where a lot of things get kind of diluted and watered down.
But we also have not seen the movies, so we don't know how Americanized
Correct.
this
Yeah.
movie
So
is.
I'm just making
We're just making assumptions here.
exactly. But I guarantee you, the week that it comes out on DVD, it will be a 99-cent release for iTunes, which I will be 100% down to see. And
Yeah.
God forbid it does do that, we'll watch it together and actually do a review on it. 'Cause I'm
Curious, honestly.
Yeah, and if it weren't for the fact that I'm an alcoholic and I love alcohol, I don't see the point of spending $12 for a movie that I'm gonna say, oh well, I really enjoyed it, but at the same time, like it wasn't
It wasn't worthwhile.
Yeah, we'll talk about The Predator today, but I was very happy with the way I spent it, and that's something that's gonna be different from like Crazy Rich Asians. It might be really fulfilling to watch, but it's not gonna have the action that I want. So, but going into kind of some action stuff, we have a little bit of a different turn for this week on our movie news. We're gonna do like a movie nerd add reverb section, and this week, we're going to start it off with Venom. Venom is officially going to be PG-13. And it's so that it can basically go into a MCU
Spider-Man.
crossover. Correct, yeah. And that's what they're doing. They're playing it safe. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. We thought that they were either going to do this or go R. But the good news for fans that want to see R, the director has not ruled out the fact that they're going to do a R for home release, which is really cool because, say he does go into the Spider-Man universe. I'm pretty sure there was like a version of Hulk that was probably a little bit R in the deleted scenes. So there's always that chance of that movie happening. But I'm excited that they would like to put this in the MCU. At the expense that it's R, I can deal with it. What about you?
I honestly wouldn't mind seeing Venom not being part of the MCU. Mm-hmm. Just personally.
Not as in,
yeah.
You wouldn't like to see him in there?
No, I mean, that'd be cool to have him in it, but to take away the rating just for the sake of being in the MCU, I think that's kind of like a slap in the face to fans.
I agree. Yeah, and
because it's like forcing it to be part of something it doesn't have to be part of.
Exactly. And no, it's I get what they did, but at the same time,
for money wise, it's a good decision.
And Sony finally actually did something good for once. Like normally Sony would be fine with taking the R. I mean, they weren't for Slender Man, but under good circumstances because they're going to get sued by the family. But, like, you can't get sued by Eddie Brock. You can't get sued by Venom.
Yeah, it's fictional characters.
Exactly. So, like, they could have done that. And I get why they didn't, because I don't think they're really comfortable. Fox is very comfortable doing a rated R movie.
True.
Obviously, with Deadpool and Logan, and then Deadpool again. Mm-hmm. But Sony's so behind right now. And
yeah,
they don't care. Their shareholders have got to be, like, shitting themselves. Like, hey, can we actually get like an R-rated film? Like they were probably waiting for that to be R-rated, but they wanted to say, well, we can make more money if we add Spider-Man, shoehorn him in there on the third movie. Me personally, I think that the next Spider-Man movie is going to be the Sinister Six, and or building up for it, and maybe they want to have Venom for that Sinister Six. So either way, I think that they just want to make their money.
And one more thing I just want to point out on this Venom story is that the director also hasn't ruled out that Spider-Man is not going to be in this movie. So, and I'm not saying he will, but he still said he's not ruling it out. So that's interesting.
It is, but I
highly doubt it though.
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's going to be the end credit scenes, which is going to be really weird.
Yeah.
But also, I have had a source that was pretty realistic on what it was, and they said that Spider-Man wasn't in it.
Okay.
For the end project, but like no spoilers or anything, obviously, because we don't know if he's going to be in it or not. But this is the source that has been pretty reliable before, especially for Infinity War. But kind of jumping into more superhero news, we have something from the DC universe. Is Spider-Man is Superman out of the picture for DC? TJ, want to take it from here?
Yeah, is Henry Cavill?
Henry Cavill, yeah.
Yeah, is he? So apparently this week there was a news article, not sure which news company it was, but they said that he is no longer going to be a Superman or portray Superman. And Warner Brothers, they had to refute the report. Henry Cavill, he actually went on Instagram and did something really strange. He held up a action figure of himself as Superman. So that was kind of saying...
With the most blank expression. Like, it wasn't anger, it wasn't mad, it wasn't sad, it wasn't happy.
Yeah.
It was the most blank, it was the most cryptic expression in the entire world. And it was just really, really funny to watch him do this. And he
had some music to it, but it was just very odd.
Yeah. It was something that you said, wow, where did this come from? Now, speculation has been that, for one, he wasn't happy with the release of Superman in Justice League.
He wasn't, huh?
Yeah, especially the fact that he had to cover up his mustache and they had to use a CGI, and he was kind of the scapegoat for why the movie was bad.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't because of him. I mean, his one scene was at the beginning of the movie where his mustache was affecting it, so it didn't affect the whole movie.
No.
I mean, yeah, it affected the first scene, but we understood. And so the big speculation is that they just announced that Captain Britain is going to become a big character in the MCU. And Captain Britain, if you don't know, is from Britain. Holy shit.
Whoa!
Right? And so the big thing is we have a British actor in Henry Cavill. He is from Britain. He's from the UK.
Yeah.
So he would be perfect for it. And Guy Ritchie is a great director. He's actually got a couple of my favorite films.
So Guy Ritchie's going to direct it then, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
And he's done, if you don't know, Rock and Roll is one of my favorite films of all time.
Stock, Lock, and Loaded.
Stock, Lock, and Loaded Barrel.
Yeah.
You got the detective movies, with Robert Downey Jr., Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Those
Did he also
were
do In Bruges or whatever?
In Bruges, yeah. He did a lot of really great movies.
A lot of good British movies.
Yes.
I mean, that's what he's known for. He's British.
And that's good, though.
He has a certain style.
Yeah, and that's good for Captain Britain. But the thing is that was just released a couple days before. They said that, for one, he was doing the movie for The Witcher. And now they released Captain Britain, but they don't know who the main actor is going to be. And I'm guessing that Guy Ritchie said, oh, well, do you want to try, coming out for this movie? Now, whether that's a rumor or not, it doesn't matter. Also rumored that John Hamm would like to play the part.
But they're also saying John Hamm wants to be Batman.
Exactly. And then also, he was supposed to appear in Shazam, and he turned down the part. It would have projected him, for one, to being the more canon Superman, but obviously he, for some reason, didn't feel it was necessary. He maybe had cold feet about it.
I felt like he should be in it, or not should be in it, but I think that that'd be cool to have him in it to show like the two different sides of the characters. There's Shazam. He's more, it seems like a more whimsical movie than the DC movies have been.
Cocky.
So show Superman as a stern, straight edge guy, while the character Shazam is kind of a goofy superhero.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that would be really fun.
Like a cool a contrast, I guess you would
Exactly, call it. Yeah. Like a yin and a yang, but this doesn't happen like that, and they're not going to do it. And I think that really affected the movie in the sense that they're not going to do it, and it's a little bit more like, oh, well, I guess he doesn't really care about that DC universe. And yeah, Captain Britain is not going to be a big character in the MCU. I'm sorry. It'll be something that can fill the void. It's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. And they could actually do a lot of really cool stuff with it. They've been doing a lot of stuff from the UK for the Golden Circle and Kingsman. They did a lot of really cool stuff for that. They could pull something like that. But I think that if he were to do that, I think it would be really cool to have that mesh over. Talking about that one thing, that was what I wrote on there. John Hamm wants to be Batman. I wrote that as Superman.
Silly guy.
I'm a goofball. Next up, we've got Godzilla coming out soon as well.
Next year
Next year in 2019, and
right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's gonna be April or maybe May, but they finally gave it a rating. And you got the joke that I put up the other day was that it's funny that Godzilla can get a fucking rating at PG-13. A year away from its release.
Exactly.
And Venom right now is just like, oh, hey, it's going to be PG-13. I'm sorry.
Was it like 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out?
Yeah, like at least 3 to 4 weeks out. So it's going to be cool. I think that, you can't really have you can have a bunch of violence in a movie. As long as you're not killing buildings that have people in it, you're good in the franchise of
blood.
Godzilla. Yeah, blood, and you're not gonna see that. Like, it's awesome. That's what you have with these Godzilla movies. The last Godzilla movie I think was pretty cool that they did like a fun take on it. Mm-hmm. So we'll see with this one. They're gonna have a lot of villains, and it's gonna lead up to him versus Donkey Kong. 2020.
Donkey Kong, King Kong.
I know, but I'm just saying. It's like Godzilla versus Donkey Kong. It's gonna be a fun 2020 when they're let's go watch them together. And what are they gonna be? Teammates at the end of that, and they're gonna fuck up. They got King Ghidorah in the next movie. I don't know what other fucking villains they're gonna put in for Godzilla in the next movie. Does King Kong even have any villains?
Besides
giant
humans,
centipedes?
not really. No, besides humans.
But that's it for nerd news. A lot of really fun stuff in the news this week, but we'll see how it goes from here. We got movie trailers.
Okay, first up for trailers is Captive State. It's gonna be a Rupert Wyatt movie. He's directing the movie. He has done Planet of the Apes, and it's gonna be starring Vera Farmiga, Machine Gun Kelly, Madeline Brewer, and then also John Goodman.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. It's just Machine Gun Kelly starring in a movie. It's just really funny right now. Especially with him dealing with the fucking bullshit he's dealing with.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering if he did that music video for the diss of Eminem on the set of the movie.
Oh. Or if it was kind of to get himself into the news.
Maybe.
A hype up. I don't know. But apparently this movie is, the setting is set in Chicago neighborhood nearly a decade after an occupation by an extraterrestrial force. So Captive State explores the lives on both sides of the conflict, the collaborators and the dissidents. So apparently this is kind of an alien movie, an alien invasion movie.
Yep.
Where the aliens have control of the world and the humans are trying to fight back.
Basically, this is Captain Marvel 1.0. Where obviously aliens are taking control of the facets of the life of our... they've cut poverty, they've cut violence, they've cut all this other stuff. And they're gonna, they're creating the life for us now. And at the end of the trailer, they ominously show...
Yeah, I like how they always have that with aliens. With spaceships.
It's always got one guy that's like falling asleep on that key. So,
and then John Goodman, he's in another alien movie. Before, was it 2 years ago? He was in Cloverfield.
Oh yeah, Cloverfield 2.0.
Yeah.
Which ended up not being actually about Cloverfield, but it was,
Yeah.
It was like a big concept, but we don't have much information about this movie.
It's just a teaser, so.
But honestly, it has me intrigued. If
Oh,
it
for
had
sure.
a bunch of the like a military propaganda stuff that they usually put in all videos.
It comes out March 29th, 2019.
Well, howdy, partner. The next movie we're doing a review on is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Well, actually, it's not a review. We're just talking about the trailer.
Well, a review of the trailer.
Oh, I see.
Duh. I say, now this is a really good movie with a couple of my favorite directors, the Coen brothers, and it's going to be released on Netflix. It's going to be really fun. I think this is looks really good. This has got James Franco, Liam Neeson, David Krumholtz, and Clancy Brown. It's your typical Western. It looks really fun. It looks really good in the sense that you have a bunch of different characters going in different plot points, and I'm guaranteeing that they end up at the end with each other. But so far, with the Coen brothers, they've never really disappointed me other than like a couple movies, and this looks actually really good. They've done a really good job.
Yeah, Coen brothers are, they have done Westerns before. This isn't their first rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
True Grit, of course, is a more standard Western, but they also did a modern Western, which was one of my favorite movies, No Country for Old Men.
Yes.
So that was a classic movie. This looks like a different twist on the Westerns that they usually do. They're actually doing a comedy. So what I'm guessing, this is going to be similar to their movie Fargo. So it's going to be like a comedy, but also has a lot of drama into it. But yeah, it looks like a fun movie. Can't wait for it to come out on Netflix. It comes out November 16th, 2018. Movie reviews.
Next up, we've got our movie review of the week, which was Predator this week. TJ and I went and saw the new Predator movie, and it was a pretty good movie. I would say pretty great on the action, great on the humor, a little bit over sometimes. But plot-wise, I was pretty disappointed in it. What about you, TJ?
Yeah, so this movie is supposed to be a continuation of the Predator franchise. It's not a reboot in any way. Mm-hmm. It's called The Predator, not to be confused with the 80s Predator.
Correct, yeah.
I don't know why they had to do that.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like the new Terminator movie.
Well, when you say
Terminator,
when you say the, like even with the original one, they end up adding the in front of it, so it's like you're gonna say it no matter what. But they do. They add a new twist to it, so you're like, wait, what? Even my dad was like, wait, you're seeing what? The new one?
Yeah.
Like no, it was the old one. It's canon with the old one. It's just they rebooted it, but they're now just making it one Predator instead of like Predators.
Yeah, so in this movie, it's supposed to incorporate the other Predator movies, and even I think Alien vs. Predator, because they do show a weapon that was in the Alien vs. Predator movie. They had like the one with the sickle on it, little spike thing.
Correct.
But this movie has a good cast. I was pretty happy with the cast. How about you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, very very happy with the cast, except for obviously the sex offender that they didn't want on there.
Yeah, and that scene was taken out. Didn't even notice that part taken out, honestly. So let's talk about the story. So basically, what the story is about
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, is that this sniper assassin guy, the main character, is in Mexico about to take out a drug lord target when all of a sudden the Predator ship crashes to the ground and the Predator somehow loses his technology from his ship. He's like somehow shot out of his ship and loses his technology. I don't understand that part.
He remember he's in a pod when they fall down, but that's what pisses me off is because he takes the helmet out and then he just jumps out of the pod. And obviously he picks up that big like hand thing on him and it's like, what?
The gauntlet thing?
Yeah, the gauntlet on him, and that fell off of him. Like he was like, oh, that has a weapon that could save the universe. Spoiler. But that's what really pissed me off is like they made that whole storyline about how he had come to save us. Well, why wouldn't he see us and go, okay, well maybe that was the whole point, was maybe like the gauntlet, him giving it to him was the whole point. He didn't want to like fuck with him, but they were shooting at him, so he kind of had to fuck with them. That's what confused me because
there's a lot of things that they didn't really explain well enough.
Yeah.
Like why the Predator wanted to help the humans, but was still on a rampage to kill.
Well, they did. They said that basically that our planet was basically for the kill, and we're gonna fuck it. Even like the main character, like one of the main scientist guys says, we're gonna fuck up our planet in like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
2 or 3 decades.
Like what the heck? What really?
Yeah, and so that was the big thing that they said, that they would come to our planet and they could live. but at the same time they were hybridnating. They were getting hibernations of us. Hybrid.
Taking our DNA.
Exactly. And I thought, like, probably one of the funniest points of this movie was the fact that they thought that the kid was, like, the main warrior of our species. Like, they're going off of pictures that he's drawn in crayon. They're like, this kid is our superior warrior. We need to go after him.
And the kid you're referring to is the main character's son.
Main character's son, correct. And I don't know who the actor is. Kid played it really well until he was supposed to be... with Asperger's syndrome the whole time, and then he ended up, like, midway through their movie, like, got confidence, and then obviously didn't have Asperger's anymore, and it was like, wait, were the kids bullying him because they thought he did have Asperger's, or what was the deal with that? So, like, there was a lot of confusing points in this movie that make you question what's going on, and if you're watching it just to watch it when you're, like, you know, having a beer, or, you know, you smoke a joint or something like that, then you're not going to worry about it. You're going to have a great time. But if you're somebody that's like, where's this movie actually going? It gets really confusing.
I like that they used some practical effects in this.
Correct, yeah.
A few things I didn't like. I'm kind of jumping around here. Sorry. So... okay, another thing I liked about this movie was that the humans were able to use the predator gear in this. Apparently it's like the Dark Horse comics where they have the humans using the predator gear. And then also the ending I thought was awesome. Spoiler, there's supposed to be a suit, or there's a predator suit for the humans to wear. Now I heard that was actually changed. It was supposed to be Arnold at the end.
Really? Yeah. So I called that right.
Yeah.
In the middle of the movie.
They originally wrote it for Arnold, but since it was such a short part, Arnold didn't want to be in it. He thought it was very insignificant.
Well, and what did I say at the end of the movie was I said that with them saying that it's organic.
Yeah.
When there's an organic in a movie, in a sci-fi movie, it means it's a humanoid species.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that's so funny. They must have written that in there like, oh, we're going to have Arnold at one point sign on for this, so just make it so it's a pod and it looks like a human can come out of it. And at the last second they were like, and you could even tell by the editing for the suit, it was like, it was very CGI, and it was like they did that last second where they didn't polish over it. And that's the first thing I said was, watch, it's gonna be Arnold, and it ended up not being. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, I did not realize that.
There's a few things that, you know, we're gonna question about this movie.
It's a Shane Black movie.
It's Shane Black. He makes a lot of comedic dialogue. You know, he did Iron Man 3. He did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. There's a few others.
Nice Guys.
Nice Guys, yes.
It's definitely got its quirks to it, and it's definitely fun to watch. And I think there's a lot of really cheesy jokes in it.
Very.
But
I kind of want to mention that. So when we were in the theater, there was this guy behind us that was pretty giddy. He was laughing throughout the movie until like a certain point.
Him and his wife were laughing at a bunch of the jokes that were like not hit or miss, but they were like definitely like somebody's gonna
deadpan
jokes,
you know.
And they were laughing at him, and like you were saying, that at one point he kind of just gave up and was like, okay, this
is too much laughing, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I felt like maybe he added too much comedy to it.
It made it less serious.
It wasn't as scary. It was supposed to be a horror movie. I didn't feel scared.
I'm going to bring this up because I think it was a really good point. Jeremy Johns is a movie reviewer, and I watch his movie reviews religiously because I really like the way that he likes stuff. And one of the things he said, and this is where I got this the other day, was that at one point in the movie, which is Keegan-Michael Key and one of the other actors, they're from a same war together. Basically, they ended up surviving together, and they end up surviving throughout the movie with each other. And at the end,
talking about Thomas Jane and
or Thomas Jane. Yes, I'm sorry,
Thomas Jane and
Keegan-Michael Key. The two of them are really good friends throughout the movie, and at the end, they end up dying together. It's a very cool... I thought it was a very touching moment.
Yes.
And they end up basically dying because they're mortally wounded, and they end up shooting each other. Now, the big thing he said, Jeremy Jahns said, was that in his version, watch of the movie, people laughed at it, and actually in the same theater we were at, people laughed at it. But it was a very serious moment, and the thing is that the comedy was so good that the two of the characters were almost seen as this comic relief.
Yes.
That it wasn't serious. When in reality, somebody that's actually watching the movie, I was like, oh wow, that's a really good touching moment. But I'm watching the people laugh, and if I had never watched the review before the movie, I would never have known that. And it's just so funny that people actually, that's so much comedy in it that it kind of dilutes the characters. It
dilutes the whole movie because there's so much comedy in it, I felt. Normally, the Predator movies have comedic moments, but not as much as it was in this. It seemed like every other scene there was a comedic moment.
Yeah.
It was kind of overloading. Like, that's probably why that scene was so funny to people, is like you were saying, they were seen as the comic relief, those two characters.
Yeah.
And when they shot each other, it seemed like a funny moment.
Exactly. Like they were doing it to be funny.
Yeah.
And when reality it is just a moment where it's about two guys that have been to war together and they're trying to end each other's lives because they don't want to deal with the pain.
That's Predator.
Yeah, it was a great movie in the sense that I liked the action. I thought the Predator should have been used more. But other than that, it was good comedy, even though it was over sometimes, and it was good action. But
yeah, I kind of just wished it made it feel like more of a stalker movie like the previous ones.
Yeah, it was definitely not a stalker movie, even considering the fact that the main characters could even become invisible at this point.
Yeah.
After pooping it out of their asshole.
But definitely recommend this movie if you want to see it. I'm sure it'll come out to streaming here by the end of the year. That is going to do it for Movie Lowdown. I do have a question of the week.
Ooh, you got one this week.
Yeah, so my question of the week is, which is a better high school movie? Superbad or American Pie? I am TJ Washuk.
And I am PS4.
Thank you, and good night.
This has been a Two Guys production.